But DPG here embraces his Honduran ancestry and tends to pay attention to the team a lot more than we do. So I want to hear what happened last night.
Okay, so again, and there's a reason why I root for Honduras, because with Honduras, it's for me at least, they're the underdogs. They were like the first team that I watched as a kid that kind of got me involved in soccer. This is kind of like the dad and son situation where my dad will take me to watch Honduras. USA, I expect excellence from US. That's USMNT again. I like both equally. One's an underdog for me, and then the other one is excellence. Like I expect excellence from US. So going back to Honduras. Okay, so Honduras played against Jamaica. They're playing in Kingston, not an easy place to play.
No, not an easy place.
Not an easy place.
What do they call it?
The Office.
The Reggae Boys.
The Office. The Office.
The Office. So Honduras.
There's a bar up the street from where I work called The Office. Anyway, go ahead.
There's a show called The Office too. Anyways, Honduras, compared to how they played against Jamaica and Tegucigalpa a few weeks ago, played much better. I think they're kind of getting back into rhythm compared to what they were a few years ago, where they were kind of rock bottom in the hex. But now it kind of seems like pieces are coming together. Again, I don't think this team is anything special. Compared to how we were 15 years ago. So they walked into Kingston needing a draw or a win, and against a really tough Jamaican team that has really grown in the past 5 years.
Was it really full strength? Was it a full strength Jamaican team, or?
I think they're missing a few.
Andre Blake's in goal. They have Campbell, McGee, Damari Gray, Mikhail Antonio up top playing striker. Lapid Duboisier in the midfield.
Very good.
Lapid Duboisier. Palmer, Holgate,
you got Pinnock,
Lembekisa, and Lee.
So they actually walked out of Kingston with a draw.
Brian Acosta.
What? Wait. What kind of draw? What was the score?
0-0.
Okay. Oh,
it was. So, granted, Honduras did look like they had a couple of good chances to score. For whatever reason, our striker just had the night off. He just didn't fucking finish. But fine. I guess I'm satisfied with that. Honduras is not going to play until next year. Well, scratch that. Honduras is not going to play until next month against Mexico.
Oh, Honduras drew Mexico. Unfortunate.
So, well, I don't know how unfortunate that is. So keep in mind, the last time Honduras drew Mexico was a few years ago. I think that was the controversial one that I kind of went on a rant.
Yeah.
So they won 2-0 on Tegucigalpa, then they lost 2-0 on Mexico, and then they lost in penalties. So again, same setup again. They're going to play in, first they're going to play in Honduras, then they're going to play in Mexico. How confident I am? For whatever reason, when Honduras plays Mexico and Honduras becomes like possessed. Like they actually
09 Barcelona.
Yeah, they just start, everything starts clicking. To a point, and it's funny because it's kind of like I've seen this routine a million times where the Mexican press, the Mexican, sports, certain commentators, they'll kind of hype this up. They're like, oh yeah, Honduras is gonna be another walk in the park.
Only second place to the English press, by the way.
Yeah, but then when they lose against Honduras, it's like they start losing it. They're like, oh my God, we're bad, we're horrible, fire the coach, then whole 9 yards. Granted, they do the exact same thing when they lose against the U.S. Anyways, so that's happening in November. I'm excited about that.
Sick.
Another interesting game, which kind of has a little bit of a tie-in with the Chicago Fire. So Guatemala. I'll save that one. Actually, this other one actually had a slight tie-in with Chicago Fire. St. Vincent and the Grenadines was coached by one of our old former head coaches, Ezra Hendrickson. And they went on to beat El Salvador.
And that is like a massive upset. People hear El Salvador and they just think like They think about their economy size. El Salvador is just outside of the hex looking in, right? They're not bad, and they're getting better.
So El Salvador right now is a mixed bag. They're not this. They haven't gotten back to that level they once were. And I'm gonna sound really old saying this, but they're not back to that level they once were, like in the early '80s, like 70s. It's
with
not
Pescadito and
not
and
even
Marco
no
Papa.
This I'm talking about like Matt. The guy was they had this one really good player that could have probably been one of the best in the world. They called him Magico Gonzalez. But they haven't really, like, you can even say since the '90s, since they used to have like Ronald Cerritos and Cienfuegos and Raúl Diaz Arce. Like, they haven't really gotten to that level yet, or back to that level. And it's
no, I mean their best players are Roldan right now, I guess, right?
yeah, that's it. I don't even think he got called up, or he's avoiding the call up. So right now they're like a mix. They're like very, I guess I don't want to say bad, but they're not doing so good.
Well,
they ended up losing.
I think they've gotten a little bit better. I think they've already hit rock bottom, unless this is it. I mean,
I
St.
think
Vincent and the Grenadines.
this was like it, because I'm not to take away anything from St. Vincent, but it's not it's not Jamaica.
No, they're like
not,
they're very close to the bottom of the FIFA rankings.
Yeah. So I actually had a chance to kind of like listen to the El Salvadorian commentators, and they were like losing it. They were like they fired the head coach, like they were going crazy. And then I don't blame them. So that was one game. And again, congrats to Ezra Hendrickson on getting a win, a historical win.
Would it be two wins too? I mean, like looks like he won the 13th, and he also won on the 10th.
Who did they play?
So on October, let me see this again. Wait, I lost it. So
let me see.
St. Vincent played Thursday, October 10th, and lost to El Salvador 3-2.
Oh, and then they beat El Salvador in El Salvador.
And then match day 4 of SIC, they beat El Salvador 2-1.
Ah, okay. So they still lost the tie, but they got a win, which is a big deal.
Right.
Which, you know what? Hey, good on them. So wait, who was the other game? Guatemala.
So Guatemala and El Salvador. So
not El Salvador. Wait.
No, sorry, Guatemala and Costa Rica.
Okay.
So there was kind of a little bit of hype going for this game. Like, again, Central American press kind of hyping us up a little, because Guatemala was like, they were in first place on the group. They had 2 points over Costa Rica. All they really needed to do was basically park the bus or win.
How do you park the bus against a force known as Francisco Calvo?
Oh my God! I don't even know. That Costa Rica is one of those weird teams that, and keep in mind, Costa Rica was coming from a 1-1 draw with Suriname. So they were kind of coming back from like a very bad place. Like, they were just like out of sorts. And it got to a point where people were saying, "Oh yeah, Guatemala is gonna like walk into Costa Rica and eliminate them." Like they were like hyping it out like that. Like, and Guatemala didn't look bad. Like prior to this game, they didn't look bad. They have a good head coach who happened to actually coach Mexico before, and he actually coached a couple of Liga MX teams. So he has I think everybody is in agreement that Guatemala has a good head coach. The problem is the quality of players. Like, it's not like, they have half their squad playing in Europe on top leagues. They have a handful of players. Some former USMNT players like Rubu Rubin, Aaron Herrera.
Oh, no way.
So, and they even have that one cat. Oh, what the hell's his name? He plays in not in the Premier League. He plays like in the Championship. Something Lang. I forgot his name. So they kind of have a good,
they got something. They're cooking on. They're doing something.
I think they already hit their limit, and like they hit their limit as of right now. What they have.
Their limit was Costa Rica.
So it looked like, hey, you know what, Guatemala might actually make a statement like, hey, this is our time. So they walk in in the nice. By the way, Costa Rica has a nice stadium. If for those of you guys who haven't seen it before. So they walk in this stadium. It's raining, ironically, and Costa Rica freaking scores early. They score like in the 9th minute off a counterattack. Like out of nowhere, Guatemala looks like they don't know how to play soccer. Like that's how bad it was. Like they just lost it. They don't know how to play soccer.
That's the difference between people like players under pressure and players not. Because when the big moments come, you know what I mean?
And that's crazy because I've seen this before happen with Costa Rica when they are under pressure, they tend to exceed expectations. So they scored their first goal, they scored their second goal, and guess what? The third goal comes in, and guess who scored it?
The Francisco Calvo. James, do you miss him yet? Do you miss Francisco Calvo?
No.
I don't miss his I don't miss his defending. I don't miss him ball watching. It was weird because the man could play his ass off for Costa Rica, but when he played for the Fire, it was like he was a liability. Like we were complaining about him. I remember complaining about him, like, oh my God, this guy, you put him on the lineup, he's a liability.
It's like he sold his soul to the devil. That anytime he put the Costa Rica kid on, he plays like Virgil van Dijk.
Exactly. He just fucking transforms, you know? So Costa Rica walks away with a 3-0. Guatemala walks away with scratching their heads and going back to the drawing board. And I hope they don't fire the head coach because it's not the head coach's fault. It's just the quality of players. You guys are not producing quality players. You guys are not sending players to Europe. That's why you're in this situation. If you keep sending players to Europe, something might happen.
Well, does anybody scout the Guatemalan league?
Well, if they could qualify for youth tournaments, they would. But you can't have one without the other.
So where are we in? Where are we in Nations League?
So Nations League itself has become like this weird, confusing like tournament because now it's used as a qualifier for the Gold Cup.
Oh man, I've already lost interest.
Yeah, so the teams that win their quarterfinals automatically qualify for the Gold Cup when it used to be like
its own qualifier.
Yeah,
which used to be lit. By the way.
So now the teams that win at the quarterfinals go to the Gold Cup. And the losers from the quarterfinals, they go into like this whole super playoff system where I guess somehow the winners of that playoff system will go on to the Gold Cup. So they're adding playoff after playoff. Like I guess one playoff is not enough for the excitement. But so these are the teams that are facing each other. So Costa Rica is going to face Panama, which again, that's fireworks right there.
Yeah.
We talked about Honduras facing Mexico. Hey, bring on the everybody's favorite team in Concacaf, quote unquote. Let's see. U.S. is facing Jamaica.
Oh no! Oh no!
Wait.
Yep, you're right. You're right. USA, Jamaica, Honduras, Mexico, Suriname,
Costa Rica, Panama
versus Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Oh.
And Costa Rica versus Panama.
Don't sleep on Suriname.
No.
As crazy as it sounds, a lot of their players play in the Dutch league. They play in
there's for reasons.
Yeah, so they play in the Dutch league. They play either in the first or second division of the Dutch league, which is still something. I mean, second division, the Dutch league is probably better than first division in any Central American team and any Central American league. So again, don't sleep on Suriname. I think Suriname might be one of those teams in the World Cup qualifiers because I know you guys are not going to watch the World Cup qualifiers.